Perhaps you've seen her on Storage Wars. She's sassy, brazen, and charming. Brandi Passante, however, is more than just a treasure hunter. Beyond the dusty closets and auctions, Brandi has been drawing attention on a whole new level. Brandi is adept at stealing the show, whether it's through stunning red carpet moments or captivating photos that leave admirers stunned. These are not your typical pictures. They are untamed, surprising, and breathtakingly beautiful. If you believed you know Brandi, you were mistaken. Prepare to see a completely different side of her. You'll be smiling, drooling, and looking at these crazy pictures. Now let's get started. The unfiltered images of Brandi Passante's most stunning moments went viral on the internet. In June 2021, Storage Wars' favorite firecracker, Brandi Passante, attends her son's high school graduation. She shares a cute picture of a trio on Instagram with the message, simple words but the photo. Not at all typical. Not at all typical. With her blonde hair falling down and a form-fitting black top and pants that perfectly accentuated her curves, Brandi looked effortlessly gorgeous. Fans were swooning over the genuine mom vibes and glow, without the glam squad or filters. She was constantly referred to as a MILF by former users. To be honest, they were correct. With thousands of likes, the post went viral, and people were clamoring for more. In September 2021, Brandi makes her debut. With her arms outstretched as if she were daring us to stare, she delivers a stunning full-body shot while wearing a tight red skirt and a small white tank. Her curves are amazing. Her naked feet, those hips, and that little waist had fans going crazy. On TV show's Ace, comments went wild, with one person even calling her a goddess. But her figure wasn't the only thing that left them speechless. It was her sly grin that did the talking. She was fully aware of her actions. After receiving more than 10,000 likes, Brandi was formally breaking the internet. She changed it up in October 2021, looking fierce and tattooed. Brandi displays a brand new tattoo on her finger, the word free and a small bird. By God's grace, I was able to get out of a tough circumstance, according to her caption. The feeling was strong when the person wore a low-cut black top, had their hair unkempt, and exuded raw confidence. Supporters were aware that she was alluding to her history, particularly her breakup with Jared. This was more than simply a sexy picture. It was Brandi taking back control. X lost control once more. That appearance, seductive. That vitality, unstoppable. Then Brandi is back at it in March 2024. The photo becomes viral after a fan takes a picture of her at a thrift store in Los Angeles. She is wearing a tight-fitting green dress with a high hem and a plunging neckline. She has her trademark smile and wild blonde hair. It isn't staged. Brandi is simply being herself. By the next week, the message has received 5,000 retweets. She has dazzling legs. She exudes confidence. She is proof that sexiness knows no age boundaries at 45. Why is she sharing these pictures that are so hot? Since she is able to. Brandi has always been authentically herself. She admitted to Lifetime Mom that she had a rough upbringing with brothers. No place for hypocrisy. She is operating her own business, hosting events that she desires, and being authentic since she and Jared parted ways. Just strong, curvy, self-assured Brandi, no filters, no fakery, and we're available for every drop. Following a period of decline in 2021, Brandi quietly retreated in 2022. She was deeply affected by her father's death, and she took a brief break from Instagram. Looper attested to the break. However, she returned with even more ferocity than before. These images are more than just sexy. She uses them to express that she is still present and attractive. In all honesty, she's demonstrating that glow-ups never go out of style after 15 seasons of storage battles. The internet was a complete disaster by March 2025. Xbuzz was ablaze with fan responses. "Drool City," someone exclaimed. Another said she's aged like excellent wine, drawing comparisons between her viral green dress photo and her Storage Wars debut in 2010. The foot fetish craze of 2021 is still going strong. However, another comment said, "Those toes." It's true that some people find the daring photos excessively cleavage-filled. However, love quickly overpowers the gloom. The truth is revealed by popular hashtags like #JustBrandiHot and #BrianFiltered. These posts aren't all that. Brandi is taking full control of the entire thirst trap takeover. Her Instagram is a combination of humorous jokes, links to second-hand stores, and timeless hits. She has also been astute with her notoriety. She acknowledged in a 2020 interview with TV series Ace that she shields her children from cyber trolls. She doesn't hold back when it comes to herself, though. Rumors of a 2024 liaison surfaced, but they quickly died out. It makes no difference, Brandi's solo is brilliant. On March 20th, she shared the image of the green dress with a winking emoji after it went viral. She is aware of our drool. Brandi is still going strong long after the last Storage Wars episode aired. She's simply growing more attractive. Why then are we all fixated? For Brandi is the complete deal. Grit, and killer curves. She became legend in 2023 after winning a $1.02 million locker jackpot. But these pictures are what really set her apart. She has organically changed from the spunky blonde of 2010 to the attractive, self-assured single mother of today. Fire, no filters, no fakes. In addition to being gorgeous, Brandi Passante's crazy pictures represent her victory lap. She's still standing despite the heartache, the trolls, the breakups, and the celebrity. We're all here for it, and you're still killing it. These photos are so amazing that they make you drool. Bold, sexy, and unstoppable. Beyond these pictures, who is Brandi Passante in real life? And how did she become well known? To find out, keep watching. The transformation of reality TV star Brandi Passante from a difficult upbringing. Brandi Passante was just a tough Texas girl trying to make ends meet before the glamour, the viral pictures, and the ferocious Instagram comebacks. She was born in 1980, and she had a rough upbringing. There was mayhem. She wasn't being theatrical when she once described it as chaotic. Brandi learned how to literally take a hit growing up since her brothers used her as a punching bag. In addition to leaving her with bruises, that difficult upbringing strengthened her backbone. Nor was she the boisterous, vivacious kind. Brandi acknowledged that in order to keep people away, she used to give them shady looks. She was shaped by that combination of shyness and determination. Brandi concentrated on getting through the day, while other children pursued their aspirations. Every wound from those formative years turned into gasoline, fuel to provide the kind of life she never had for her future children. However, survival was more than just sentimental. It was also monetary. Brandi accepted any work she could get before the cameras started rolling and before Storage Wars became well known. Working as a waitress, babysitter, and make ends meet. The strain increased when she became a mother at the age of 23. Every dollar was important. Every unforeseen cost seemed disastrous. Even celebrity doesn't make that kind of difficulty go away. Brandi acknowledged that her money worries persisted even after she achieved success. However, she used it to her advantage rather than allowing it to shatter her. While other buyers tossed cash like confetti during storage battles, Brandi remained calm, strategic, and cautious. It was more than just a strategy. Her survival instinct was taking over. Everything changed when she was 19 years old and working as a carpet cleaning assistant in California, just another payment in a long succession of low-paying jobs. She met the manager, Jared Schultz, there. His own words. Not exactly a love story starter. Kind of a jerk to employees. To encourage him to treat Brandi with more consideration, one of his own pals had to place messages on his truck. At first glance, it wasn't sparks. She was liked by Jared. Brandi would have none of it. He wore her down, she joked afterward. Despite breaking company rules with their flirtatious back and forth, neither of them cared. What began as awkward conversation and stains on the carpet developed into something significant. Years of dating, 2 children, and ultimately, stardom on reality TV. Therefore, keep this in mind when you gaze at Brandi in those stunning Instagram photos showing off her curves and self-assurance. She didn't come into this world by accident. She battled for it. She has always been a survivor, from Texas scars to TV stardom. Additionally, perhaps this is the main factor that makes her so very intriguing. Brandi and Jared tried their hand at the mortgage game after cleaning carpets and making do with scraps. It failed. Hard. They weren't tycoons of business. All they wanted was to keep afloat. Jared's aunt then threw them a curveball. Auctions for storage sounded crazy, dangerous. However, they had lost everything, so they threw themselves into it. They began searching storage facilities, opening dusty lockers, sorting through the remnants of strangers, and hoping for a lucky find with just a few dollars in their pockets. No shortcuts, no glam. Hawaii. Just two individuals working really hard. Now and then becomes that grind. Their Orange County secondhand store, they bought, loaded, hauled, priced, and sold. They did it all. They made almost nothing on some days. On other days, their rent was barely paid. Although it wasn't attractive, it belonged to them. And what attracted attention was that unadulterated hustle. Jared wasn't well known when Storage Wars producers first saw him at an auction. He was simply bold and boisterous. However, nothing really clicked until 8 months later when they met Brandi at Now and Then. Her presence? Unquestionable. Actual. No screenplay, no action. Brandi just being herself, powerful, incisive, and unavoidable. She was asked if she would like to appear on television. It wasn't a dream come true at first. A question mark appeared. Jared and Brandi had children. Even if it was chaotic, a peaceful life offered them a sense of normalcy. That was threatened by cameras. The aim was not fame. It was a risk. What would happen to their family if they were on TV? Would the Globe be able to analyze their problems through broadcasting? They weren't actors. Even though they were only two folks trying to keep their heads together, there was something remarkable about the opportunity. Thus, the dice were rolled, and everything was altered. What began as broken furniture and dusty boxes became primetime gold. And Brandi Passante is at the heart of it. No Hollywood glitz, no glam squad. It was the same woman who used to glare at people to get them to go away. In the spotlight now. Every episode leaves viewers in awe. What fans are actually witnessing when they swoon over Brandi's daring Instagram photos now is the outcome of that narrative. Every contour, self-assured posture, and seductive smirk is the result of years of hard work, guesswork, and development. She didn't become famous, she deserved it. How did Jared and Brandi dominate Storage Wars screens? Watch this space to discover out. How Brandi and Jared transformed Storage Wars from underdogs to power players. Brandi and Jared were unprepared for what would happen when Storage Wars first aired in December 2010. They were anything but sharpshooters in the actual world of auctions, despite the fact that producers called them the young guns. They lacked the contacts. They lacked the jargon. They had no system at all. The others, veterans of auctions, they arrived with sophisticated tactics, historical expertise, and quick-thinking, deep-pocketed buyers. Jared and Brandi, two thrift store entrepreneurs, both nervous and sweaty, with a camera crew observing their every action. They had a terrible first day on set. Brandi didn't mince words. No rest periods, no help, and no time to ponder. They were instructed to bid, win, empty the unit, clean it, and then do it again. It wasn't what they had signed up for. It was hot and hectic. They almost ran away. She has a unique build. They persisted because she was not a quitter, pretending to be confident, working harder, and avoiding being made fun of on national television. Then it took place. The locker that made all the difference appeared to be trash. Dusty boxes, a worn-out dresser, nothing fancy. The experienced bidders passed it by as if it were vacant. Jared and Brandi went with their instincts and spent $1,100 more than they could afford. They occasionally opened one of the boxes and then froze. It included a neatly arranged assortment of old silver coins that were dated and labeled. Some date back to the 19th century. It wasn't garbage, it was a treasure. Over $13,000 was won from one $1,100 wager. The game altered in an instant. Nobody anticipated it, but all of a sudden the outcast pair became players. Respect quickly followed, all of it. They were no longer side-eyed by the cast. Supporters began to cheer them on. Additionally, the filmmakers saw that Jared and Brandi weren't supporting roles. They were precious. Their chemistry, electrical. Brandi's snappy sarcasm and Jared's impetuous nature clashed and clicked simultaneously. It had balance, banter, real-life arguments, and spontaneous magic. The audience was captivated by it. And Brandi stood out for his snappy comebacks, side eyes, and deadpan delivery.
Yeah.
She had no desire to be famous. She was only being herself, and she was memorable because of her genuineness. Everything changed by the third episode. Not only Brandi and Jared were being followed by the television crews, they were getting closer and closer. They were adored by test audiences. Jared's wild energy and Brandi's sass notably appealed to younger viewers. Producers witnessed the events. Jared and Brandi were gradually making their way from the sidelines to the main platform. It didn't end there either. They acquired their own spin-off show, Brandi and Jared, Married to the Job, thanks to their compatibility, real-life humor, and underdog hustle. It was crazy for a couple who nearly refused to accept TV in the first place. However, stress accompanied triumph. The self-proclaimed king of storage fights, Dave Hester, wasn't overjoyed. He was loud, competitive, and constantly stirring things up. Jared and Brandi didn't seem like they belonged. Who did this, man? They were merely filler TV candy for ratings, in his opinion. He even attempted to undermine them at one Palm Springs auction by circulating a word that one of their lockers was moldy. To destroy their resale value was the aim. It was unsuccessful. Things became much more complicated when Hester filed a lawsuit against Lee in 2012. He said the show was rigged by the network, asserting that Jared and Brandi received inside information regarding lucrative units from producers. But the case backfired rather than damaging them. The network supported Jared and Brandi, upped their screen time, and temporarily put Hester on the bench. Brandi, meanwhile, was demonstrating that she didn't require inside assistance. Her wins were evidence of her hustle and gut feeling. She paid $1,900 on her own for a dusty locker in Long Beach in 2013. It appeared to be nothing. However, an old Japanese Hamlet sculpture found within was eventually valued at $7,500. She made nearly $6,000 from the entire haul. She outbid Dave Hester for a $230 apartment filled with old cartons that same year. Everyone chuckled, until she discovered a brand new set of Star Trek memorabilia that included a signed William Shatner item. That junk locker became a payday of $4,000. She flipped the game instead of merely playing it. Brandi demonstrated with each victory that she was more than just Jared's sidekick or a TV personality. Fans adored her because she was a savvy strategic buyer with genuine intuition. What caused Brandi and Jared to drift apart after their victories together? Let's investigate. From lovers to strangers, the true cause of Brandi and Jared's breakup. Fans who had been following Brandi and Jared from the start found their split to be rather painful. They were more than simply partners on reality TV. They worked together for almost 20 years, both on and off screen. Through television auctions and thrift stores, they created a life together that appeared stable from the outside. People were shocked when Brandi disclosed in the Storage Wars Season 13 opener that she and Jared had secretly broken up. The breakup wasn't the only thing that shocked me. It had to do with how long they concealed it. She didn't make a big deal out of it, as is typical of Brandi. Is typical of Brandi. No clumsy public declarations, no dramatic interviews, just a strong, silent change. Jared verified it on video in the meantime, with a remark that encapsulated their new situation. Even if Brandi and I are no longer together, we are still able to attend an auction, albeit separately. Fans, however, noticed the change right away. Their once jovial banter now had a twist. Beneath the surface, tension bubbled. To tease Brandi, Jared even made a joke about bidding on anything she desired. It was obvious that the dynamic had changed. Behind the scenes, the divorce was much more personal, even though it provided for drama worthy of television. Brandi wasn't merely getting used to living without a committed spouse. She had to handle parenthood alone. Peyton and Cameron are the two children that the ex-couple shares. Additionally, Brandi took on the major responsibility of raising them following the breakup. She acknowledged having full custody in her interview with the Dad Diary, but she did not disclose the specifics of the legal arrangement. She was obviously carrying the burden. Her primary concern shifted to protecting her children. Brandi used to post adorable pictures of her family's early years on the internet. But she had to make a difficult decision when people began making offensive remarks about her kids. She completely ceased sharing them online. She stated, "They don't want me to post anything about them on social media." Which I don't. I honor that. It served as yet another reminder that there are expenses associated with celebrity that aren't always visible on film. Behind the scenes, Brandi was relearning how to stand on her own, setting boundaries and protecting her children, while fans watched her bid, flip lockers, and compete in the auction ring. Behind the scenes, Brandi and Jared's relationship deteriorated even further, despite their best efforts to maintain professionalism in front of the cameras. Fans believed they were a dynamic duo for years, but the reality was much more nuanced. And it all came to a head by 2021. When Jared was accused of domestic abuse against Brandi that year, things became quite serious. It took place at an Orange County bar. According to reports, the two got into a furious dispute. Additionally, Jared allegedly pushed Brandi twice while swearing at her when she urged him to leave her alone. Jared had already left the area when the police showed there. The Orange County District Attorney's Office charged him with one misdemeanor offense of domestic violence battery, even though he later denied touching her. Not only was it a turning moment for Brandi, but it also affected Jared's reputation and their already tense co-parenting relationship. Brandi remained silent and refrained from disclosing specifics to the public. Her silence, however, was quite telling. And as the judicial proceedings proceeded, one thing became quite evident. Jared was done with storage battles. Following the incident, he did not return, and no formal justification was required. The absence spoke for those who had been watching for a long time. Personal strife had caused what had once been a relationship based on hard work and common goals to fall apart. Even though Brandi continued to act with dignity and fortitude, the incident had an impact on their private lives, which they had worked so hard to keep safe, as well as their career prospects. How did Brandi's fame turn against her, from private suffering to public challenges? To learn more, continue watching The Dark Side of Fame, Brandi's fight against invasions of privacy and abuse. More than simply TV deals and fan adoration contributed to Brandi's success. She began to wonder about the price of being in the spotlight after experiencing intrusive attention, unfounded allegations, and upsetting interactions. One of the worst instances occurred in 2012 when Hunter Moore, the well-known distributor of revenge porn, uploaded a naked video on the internet and claimed that the lady in it was Brandi. She promptly denied being the individual in the video and filed a lawsuit against Moore, alleging, among other things, defamation, invasion of privacy, and consumer fraud. Brandi first demanded damages of $2.05 million. Moore was forced to pay her legal bills, but even though she won the case, the court only gave her $750 in compensation. The money wasn't the point. Emotional harm was done. Later, Brandi said that the experience left her feeling rattled. Her public persona endured, but behind closed doors, the stress and anxiety took a toll. Regretfully, discomfort associated with fame wasn't unique to that instance. Brandi talked candidly about getting spooky letters from strangers and finally relocating to a gated neighborhood in order to feel safer in an interview with the Dad Diary. A job in storage auctions had evolved into something far more demanding. Her life had been rewired by fame. Brandi acknowledged that she went to treatment in order to deal. She was so overwhelmed at one time that she was scared to leave her own home. How does Brandi continue to move on in the face of harsh attacks and hopeful strength? Let's investigate. Ascending. How Brandi handles storage and life conflicts. Following heartbreak, Brandi decided to maintain a business relationship with Jared following their breakup. She never attacked him on social media, and their jokes on Storage Wars remain lighthearted rather than scathing. Her professional demeanor even appeared in a very personal article about overcoming a challenging circumstance, as fans observed. She used a calm, collected tone instead of identifying names or going into every unpleasant detail. Brandi's commitment to professionalism and self-discovery is evident despite the drama and heartache, which makes her story even more inspirational and relevant. Even though A&E Storage Wars has been a fan favorite for more than 10 years, the program had difficulties because of the COVID-19 pandemic. The series eventually returned in 2021 after a 2-year break. In season 13, the separation was difficult for Brandi Passante. In an interview with Pop Culture, she said that in the absence of the show, she was completely bored. Ultimately, Storage Wars had played a significant role in her life for many years. However, when the cameras rolled again, things weren't quite going according to plan. Brandi described her 13th season experience as turbulent, and the reason is easy to comprehend. There is no denying the stress that came with filming with her ex-boyfriend, Jared Schultz, following their highly public breakup. It was hard to overlook their past, both on and off screen, particularly the darker parts. In any case, one thing is obvious. Storage Wars will have a completely different future. The show that made Brandi famous is also changing as she embarks on a new chapter in her personal and professional life, and fans will be keenly following to see what happens next. What will happen to Brandi's love life next, from mending hurt to finding new joy? Watch this space to discover out. A fresh chapter. After experiencing heartbreak, Brandi discovers happiness and love. Brandi Passante has turned the page after years of stress and heartache, and this new chapter appears to be much more promising. Although her breakup with Jared Schultz was tearful and complicated, Brandi isn't only getting by, she is doing well. Fans can't help but notice that the Storage Wars star and Clifford Beaver have fallen in love again. The frowns and eye rolls that characterized her relationship with Jared are no longer there. Brandi is now radiant, and her smile speaks for itself. Brandi appeared burdened before Clifford. Even in the humorous parts of the program, she and Jared were clearly at odds. 2 children, nearly 20 years of marriage, and ongoing arguments had taken their toll. However, everything changed when Clifford came into the picture. The woman who used to exude fatigue and frustration now exudes delight and doesn't hesitate to express it. On May 1st, 2024, she posted a beautiful Instagram video with Queens of the Stone Ages as the soundtrack to commemorate Clifford's birthday. Not only were fans astounded by the gesture, but also by how publicly affectionate she has become. And social media isn't the only factor. Clifford and Brandi were born a few days apart and are both Taurus, and they have a strong bond. For Taurus signs, stability, comfort, and love are paramount. Additionally, Brandi at last feels understood, protected, and supported with Clifford. Emotionally and otherwise, she is no longer carrying the burden. She frequently felt exhausted and undervalued as the only parent with Jared. She is now content with a kind of connection that makes her feel better rather than worse. Brandi uses Instagram and TikTok to publicly share snippets of her life with Clifford. Not to boast, but because she truly feels content. She is with someone that makes her laugh, loves her, and is there for her. Additionally, the majority of her admirers are supporting her, despite some envious ones complaining in the comments. Brandi deserves this happiness after everything she's been through, and she's no longer hiding it. New endeavors accompany new love. How is Brandi going to shine by herself? To learn out, continue to watch. With the true reality, Brandi takes center stage. In addition to drawing attention, Brandi Passante is changing the game by appearing happier and healthier than ever. She is now getting ready to show the world a completely different side of herself. Yes, exactly. Brandi is starting her own podcast, which she says will be as daring and unvarnished as she is. The show, titled The Real Reality, will examine what it's actually like to live in the spotlight. Brandi has years of experience in reality TV and has been through a lot of personal struggles, so she is more than prepared to have open discussions with guests who have experienced the highs and lows of fame. Her progress is symbolized by this action. Brandi and Jared were once a great pair, but now she is thriving and strong alone. She no longer requires a sidekick. It's evident that flying alone might be the best option for her. She is now composed, self-assured, and most importantly, at peace. She no longer seems to be as irritable as she was when she was dating Jared. Rather, Brandi appears lighter, more frank, happier, and far more in charge of her own story. Fans have noted that she hasn't been seen together online lately, while it's unknown if she is still seeing Clifford Beaver, the man who seemed to inject new life into her. They have both removed one another from social media, causing fans to question if their romance has soured. The problem is that Brandi refuses to allow relationship rumors define who she is. She's glowing, engaged, and taking things at her own pace. That much was clear from a recent Instagram image in which Brandi, wearing denim shorts and a Harley-Davidson t-shirt, posed playfully in front of the mirror. She remarked in the caption, "Looking this cheap takes a lot of money." Dolly Parton is the source of this quote. It demonstrated to the world that she still had her sense of humor and that signature sass. It was clever, self-aware, and utterly hilarious. As her podcast launches and another season of Storage Wars approaches, Brandi Passante is demonstrating that the best is still to come. One bold step at a time, she is assuming her authority rather than merely surviving. Kook. What do you think about Brandi Passante and the images that are making waves online? Tell us in the space provided for comments below. We appreciate you viewing this video. We hope it piqued your attention. Remember to subscribe and like. To catch up on your favorite celebrity stories, click the next video that appears on your screen. I'll see you there.